a little bit of time, a few weeks at least, since I've gone live with a guest, but there were some guests that I did for Over the Bundle that were just so awesome, and I felt a real connection. And actually, I have unofficially adopted Rachel because she's so awesome. And so what I'm hoping to do, we're trying this out this month, is to have everybody come on like once a month and do some cool things that are not my expertise, right? I don't talk about exercise and meditation and life coaching, which are all these juicy things that Rachel can get into. And I know for some of you, it's a very long winter. I was just talking to some people because I'm complaining now because our weather has been in the 70s. It even got up into the 80s last weekend. It was crazy. I live in North Carolina. I don't live in Florida or somewhere like that, but it's like 60s for the next 10 days, which, or well, 59, it's in the 50s. And then it's getting to like almost freezing or freezing at night, whereas I've been able to leave all my plants out and things like that. So I'm feeling the need for a little inside coziness, self-care, stuff like that. And so it is both for you and for me that I want to have Rachel on once a month to kind of give us some great ideas. I think that she explains things incredibly well. And I see that Gina and Marilyn and Deb and Apple and Gina and Rill are all here, which is awesome. And Rachel, I know that we have one person who is visually impaired, so if you can maybe also verbally explain things, make sure you're explaining things so we're not just having to watch and see your movements, that would be beautiful too. Linda, so many people are on here. This is awesome. Ready to hang out with you. So I want to know how you guys are, how the weather is. Put things in the comments. Some of those won't go up. I'm going to do the meditation and exercise. You won't see me on camera. While we do the exercises, if you have a question about the exercise, put it in the comment and I will read that out and interrupt Rachel for that. But that's about it for a little while. So is everybody ready for a little bit of calming down, restarting our day? Because I told Rachel I was getting a little cranky. Are you guys feeling a little cranky, or are you just kind of like, woohoo, it's the best day ever? So I want to know all these things, and I'm going to throw this over to Rachel, and let's just enjoy this wonderful gift that she's giving us.
Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Kathy. Hello, I'm Rachel. I'm so excited to do this, Kathy, and everybody. I'm glad that you're here. So, my name is Rachel, and so I really, my area of expertise and what we're focusing here is just how do we, this is what it's coming up. How do we make our bodies, ourselves, our health, how do we make it our number one priority? That's kind of, it's kind of what today's about, right? So I'm a life coach. I help people change their lifestyle and get through these things in their life. So one of the main things that we as in me, that I coach on is stress management, right? And so, and it's stress management, and it's also like emotional management, right? So it's like we wake up and we have this emotion, and then it's like, well, what do we do with it? You know, is it, and it's like another thing that we talk about in coaching is our substance intake. So do we cope with these emotions with substances or behaviors, or whatever the behavior is, a compulsive behavior that doesn't serve you, doesn't matter what it is. How do we deal with it? But so meditation is a beautiful thing to implement in our life that can really help with the quality of your thoughts, your emotional well-being, your calmness, your ability to address situations in a calm manner, just a lot of processing and good stuff. So yeah, I want you to find a space and just get ready. We'll do about 10 minutes, and I'll guide you the whole time with my voice. I'm going to start the meditation with 3 rings of this bell, and then I'll close it out with 3 rings of the bell. And so I'm just going to describe a little bit like different ways that you can sit in meditation. One thing would be if you're sitting on the floor, you might sit cross leg, and if it's uncomfortable, you can put like a yoga mat under, not a yoga mat, like you could, yes, a yoga mat and a yoga block under your seat, and you can sit up on that, and that's helpful. And then you can have your knees be touching the ground. So the point of this is that we want to be grounded in whatever way because we want to get in touch. So, you can sit like that. You can sit in a chair with your feet planted on the ground, just straight back posture. Some folks lay down. I think for me, laying down, um, where meditation originates from, sorry, I go on and then we'll get into it. But where meditation originates from is in the Buddhist culture. And in that culture, or religion, I guess, in that religion, and it's not like a religious discussion, it's just knowing information and seeing where religious people are right. And so it's what they do, they don't lay down. So they plant their feet. Sometimes they sit. Like let's say they have a block or a cushion, and then they will be on their knees. As in people who practice like the Buddhist form of meditation, but also like anybody really, a lot of people, these are just options. You could also lay down. For me, in my experience, it doesn't clear my head as much. I just fall asleep or daydream. All right, so find a comfortable seat in whatever way feels good for you, even if it is laying down. And today's meditation is about loving our bodies and listening to our bodies. All right, so settle into a comfortable position and start to bring your attention inward. You might gently close your eyes or have a soft gaze as you start to get comfortable. Start to feel the rise of your belly and chest as you start breathing in and out. Bring those shoulders back. Have a proud chest. You might bring one ear, your right ear, to your right shoulder. Feel a stretch there. And then bring it the other way to the left. Feel a stretch there. You could bring your chin forward down to your chest and do a couple neck circles. Do 2 one way and then 2 the other direction. And allow yourself to reach a place of stillness. Refocusing on your breath, gently breathing in and out. Your body is very wise. And your body's always communicating with you. Sometimes we don't trust our body's wisdom. When all we really need to do is listen. What is your body telling you? What does it need? Take the next few moments and listen in silence, following your breath in and out. Continue to follow the sound of your breath. And don't judge anything that your body is telling you. Maybe you've been feeling a pain or a soreness. What is your body telling you that you need to do to relieve it? Maybe you've been feeling too hungry, or maybe too full. What do you hear your body saying to you? Remember, we don't want to judge any of the thoughts or the feelings that our body is telling us. We just want to listen. Maybe your body's exhausted and craves sleep. How can you give it what it needs? Maybe your body's telling you that it's scared or feels unsafe. Take some time to recognize all the ways you're experiencing all of these emotions in your body. What does your body really need right now? Continue to take the time to listen and trust. Now bring your right hand to your heart. and bring awareness to the warmth of your touch on your body. Go ahead and say thank you to your body and send love to all the parts, all the feelings, and everything that it might need. And as we come to a close, you might start wiggling your fingers and rocking your head from side to side, stretching your back, getting back in touch with your body. And when you're ready, open your eyes.
That was really nice, Rachel. Thank you for that.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, in the middle of it, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to start coughing. So I skedaddled and got some water and her like creaked around, but I thought it was so beautiful because this was about what is your body saying to you? And I'm like, uh-oh. So that's pretty interesting. Serendipitous might be the word.
And if anybody watching wants to share what they felt during the meditation in the comments, feel free. I'm going to say a really funny one because it kept coming back up. Evidently, I want like ramen for dinner or pho or something like that. It kept going, soup with veggies and rice noodles. Which is not a normal thing I hear when I'm asking. So I thought that was bizarre and helpful.
Yeah, right. A lot, and I love that too, that your body like guided what you chose to eat. And a lot, like when I work with my clients, a lot of times as we like get through the basics of like what they're, most of them like to eat whole food plant-based. So after we like talk the logistics of that, then it's like, okay, well now you have your wings. So it's like, what are you going to choose to eat? And so they'll want me to tell them, and I will invite them to listen to your body's guidance. Like, what is it that your body would have you eat? Because it's like, yeah, I can tell you. Like, we know this, the science is the science. It doesn't change. Well, depends on what science, but this science hasn't changed around whole food, plant-based, and nutrition. So it's, they know the science, but then it's like, well, what do you pick? And it's like, well, your body, our body speaks to us. And things like that. And so it's super beautiful. It's something. So I was diagnosed with MS 4 years ago, and I never was in touch with my body. I never listened to it. I was just running riot through the world, just wild. And I never, and then after I got diagnosed, it was almost like I have no choice, right? Otherwise, like when dealing with chronic disease, um, it will wreak havoc. It's like if we don't respect it in this way that it desires, or like needs, it will wreak havoc. So it's super important, to have a meditation practice and get into our body. All right, I'm going to jump into some gentle movement. If that's all right. So our next thing we're going to jump into is, some gentle movement, and I want to talk about, some different tools here and different things that they could be used for. So the first thing is, um, let's talk about these bands. I know everybody's seen these bands. You can get them like if you go to physical therapy, or you can also order them online. Um, but I want to talk about what they are, and as we continue to do this, if you have these or acquire these, or just like I'll share different things about it. If we ever use it, we could use a towel also, right? And so those tools will be like stated ahead of time, but these are nice to have. And the way that it goes is alphabetically backwards from, or actually we could just say alphabetically forwards, from the heaviest resistance to the least resistance. So yellow is the least resistance, then red, then green, and then blue. And so it's just alphabetical, then black. Um, but these are really nice for, it just feels good to stretch. It feels really good. It can be really easy and really gentle. If you just, even if you took a towel, right? If you don't have bands, you could just take a towel um, and hold it over your head. These are just little things that you can do at home to feel good at like random times. I'm going to talk about another tool and then we'll get into moving. So this right here, I don't know what it's called, but it's wonderful. It's what it does is like if let's say you have pain in an area, it's like an acupressure tool. Um, and I'm sure there's a name, and I'll post it the thing in the comments when I get on here, get back on the computer or whatever. But you can just use it like if you have pain or if you have to, like for me, I have my ankles get very tight. And so what it does is it helps like work that part of my body. And then like sometimes my hands are like the circulation isn't the best. So I can, kind of get into different spots here. But this tool is nice and it's really helpful for pain and things like that. All right, let's get into some movement. And then I put these little 5-pound weights here because if folks are wanting to get into some type of, like strength building, a good place to start could be, there's 4-pound weights. I don't have mine, but there's 4-pound weights that you could get. These are 5-pound, and if you're just starting, it can start with using like one at a time, or and then building up to 2 at a time. But these are really nice. I use these all the time, like, because, more and more as we listen to our body, as I continue listening to my body, I realize like CrossFit and all that, like really intensity, like high pressure stuff, or not high pressure, high impact stuff is actually not really kind or gentle to the body. So let's get into some gentle movement.
And Rachel, right before you get started, because you have a YouTube channel too, and so do you have any of those weight exercises that people could maybe do along with you yet on your YouTube or Facebook?
I don't, but I have, well, I'll tell you what I have. I have a live functional movement class, the one that you sent out for me last month, that's coming up next week. And I definitely could have some of these videos up on YouTube. It would be really fun for me to make, to be honest.
Well, and we
What a
can
great
talk
idea.
about that too, because maybe we can do some of them live, or you can take some pieces. But anyhow, we'll brainstorm after this. I'll let you
Yeah.
get on with your business now.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. All right. So the first thing we'll do is, so however you're sitting, just get comfortable sitting. Maybe you're sitting on a chair. That is totally an option. And everything that I'm doing on the floor, you can totally do. My chair's over there. I don't want to hurt the plant, so I'll just sit on my couch. But you can totally do seated, and I'll turn this way so you can see my posture. Notice I'm not seated like this. I'm opening. When I say proud chest, it means bring those shoulders up to your ear and open and back, chest to the sky. We're proud. We're not hunched over. We're not, right? So proud chest. And notice my legs are in 90-degree angles. These are my shoes over here that I want to sell. I'm just a shoe head. It's like, why do I have so many shoes? Okay. So, but notice it's in 90-degree angles. And so when I say like get grounded, like for example, while we're meditating, you'll want to root your feet on the ground. And also for these stretches, you'll want to root your feet on the ground. And then if you're sitting on the floor, then you want the same straight back posture, and you want to be rooted, proud chest too. All right, so the first thing we'll do is we're just going to get some gentle arm stretching to start. And for me, I'm going to move up to my knees because I think that's the most comfortable. You might stand during this too. Sometimes I stand when I lead these things. So, oh, but you can't see me. But stand. Oh, kind of if I back it up a little bit more. But standing is also really nice for these things too. Um, let's see, Kathy, should we stand or sit? What are you feeling? And then I'll
Let me,
freestyle it. I'm gonna put it on
I
you.
think you could do either way. What do you think is more comfortable? Can you do them all standing?
Yeah, and I think it would be more of an optimal full body engagement, feel good situation.
Then go ahead and move your camera up a little bit. And a few other people are joining. So what we're doing is Rachel is just finished leading us in a meditation that'll be available for a replay. And we're doing some gentle movements and stretching. We're just reevaluating that she's standing up so everybody will have a better chance. And again, if you're just tuning in, one of the things that she had said too is you could also do all of these seated. Just make sure that when you're, and actually, here, I'll come back over here while you're doing this. So my yoga teacher used to say swimmer's back. And so not this where it's rounded, but more upright. So it almost feels to me, and it, as a woman, a lot of times you try not to put your chest out, but it is like you're putting your chest out, and you'll feel this wonderful stretch if you do a lot of computer work in your upper back. So that's what she's mentioning, because I am queen of being on the computer for 12 hours and hunching over and finding myself in a really bad position. So, okay, back to you, Rachel. You look like you're ready.
All right, is the lighting okay, or do I look like a silhouette here? A little of both, maybe? All right.
It'll work.
Okay, beautiful, yeah. Next time we'll be a little bit more prepared with the lighting. Okay, so first thing I want you to, we're gonna practice stacking our bones. So when we're standing, right, you want to stand so that's comfortable. And if you want to start with your ankles, your knees over your ankles, hips over your knees, right? You want everything stacked. Think about your shoulders, pull them back, shoulders over your hips, right? We just want to have a generally stacked position here. So the first thing we're going to do is bring your right arm over your head and lean towards the left, right? And keep that chest open. All right, we're going to come back the other way. Take your left arm and lean, right? And you're keeping those bones stacked, right? We're not sinking over too much. We're keeping the integrity of our body. All right, we'll come back out. Next, we're going to stick our left arm. Stick your left arm out and bring your right ear to your right shoulder. And you're going to feel pretty intense stretch in the left shoulder. Right? And you never want to exceed a pain threshold of 7. Then it's like your body's saying, But it's okay to have a little bit, never go above the 7, but we want to stretch it out. Next, you're going to take your left hand, you're going to face your palm up. All right, give it a twist, and then just kind of twist back and forth that arm. Just see what you feel. You might feel some crunching or hear cracking. Rotate your wrist. Go clockwise 3 times. Then you'll go counterclockwise for 3 times. And just notice what you feel. Keep breathing. Don't forget to breathe. All right, bring that left arm down. We're going to do the same thing with the right arm. So stick your right arm out. Bring your left ear to your left shoulder. You'll feel a pull. Make sure you have your shoulders back with that proud chest, right? You don't want to hunch over while you're doing this. Keep it open. Get fresh air. Do you feel that pull? You can rotate your wrist a few times. Yeah, I guess we'll rotate first. So rotate 3 times. one way, and then 3 times the other way. And go ahead and face your palm to the sky. Move your fingers. Send gratitude to your hands. And just kind of move it around. See what feels good. Thanks to your hands that do so much for you. All right, you can bring that arm down. All right, bring your shoulders up to your ears. And go ahead and drop them. Do that 3 or 4 times one way. And then you'll go ahead and do it the other way too. So what we're doing is we're working our way down our whole body. So we got our shoulders. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do, I'm looking for a wall, but I don't have one that's really accessible to me. Can you see me there? No? Okay, we'll plan better next time. All right, so the next thing we're going to do to open our chest, we'll clasp our hands behind our body like this, and we're just going to lean back a little bit and open that chest. Just breathe. If you want to intensify it a little bit, you can lean forward. You'll feel a pull in your hamstrings. Don't overdo it. So find what feels good, and maybe you're still up here. We'll hold it for 2 more seconds. If you're down, you'll slowly bring yourself up and then release that. And loosen up your shoulders there. This next one could cause, if folks have shoulder pain, it could cause some discomfort, and so you're not going to want to go near that too much, right? So, but you do always want to explore your mobility, right? So it's not like, oh, well, you'll see Rachel, she can touch like this, but Rachel does yoga every day, so be where your body's at, not where Rachel's body's at, So if you have any shoulder issues, you're not going to want to overdo it and overextend, but what you're going to want to do is we're going to take our right hand first, we're going to reach it over our head, and have our left hand on our back, and we're just going to reach towards it. And you don't have to overdo it. You don't have to touch them. Sometimes I see these yoga teachers touching them. I'm like, wow, that's great. But just kind of see where your mobility lies. Open your chest a little bit and then bring them down. And then we're going to do the other side. So the right hand's on the bottom, like lower back area. You bring your left arm up above your head and just see where you lie with that too. Right, and come out of that, right? That's a nice little back, to kind of test your back a little bit, see how that feels. The next thing, we'll just get into massaging our hands a little bit. So on your right hand, you're going to start pressing the hand, pressing the different spots of your fingers. Sometimes folks with arthritis in the hands or different parts, a lot of ways that we get rid of arthritis is through stretching. So some folks might have arthritis in the hands, and this might feel challenging, but if you pull the fingers back, so we're going to pull our fingers back, sending gratitude to our hands. Just hold it for 5 more seconds. And then release, and then we'll pull our thumb back a little bit. But remember, we're just being gentle with our bodies. It's not about meeting some pain threshold or stretch threshold. All right, we're just taking stock. We're just going through our body and seeing what's up. All right, keep rubbing through that hand. Make your way up your arm. Just get in touch with your body. We're touching. We're pressing. Pressing feels good for pain, for discomfort, for tightness. Just press. All right, and then we're going to do the exact same thing on our other side. So once you get through your shoulders, kind of give your body a whole little press, tell it I love you. And then we're going to hit up the left side. We'll start the same way, just pressing our hands. Right? It's so often like it's like we use our feet, we use our hands so much, and we forget like, oh, they might need some love and some care, you know? So just pressing through our hands, our fingers. And we're gonna go ahead and stretch the fingers back again. So pull them back towards you. Again, we're not wanting to exceed some pain threshold. We're just taking stock, giving it some love. And that's the thing about gentle movement, about functional movement, about getting in touch with our bodies. None of it's about a competition or an expectation. It's really about how do we take care of ourselves, right? Pull that thumb back. And never, again, I'll just repeat this, never exceed this pain threshold of 7. And maybe your pain tolerance is 6. You know, we're not trying to hurt ourselves. We're trying to love ourselves. All right. And go ahead and start pressing up your left arm, giving it a massage. All right. We'll get into our lower back here. So a lot of times when we have lower back pain, it's because we have really tight hamstrings, right? So we're going to just fold forward. You're going to grab each elbow. So right hand, left elbow, left hand, right elbow. So you'll clasp each elbow almost like you're cradling something. And then you'll have your feet hip distance apart, hip width distance apart. And we're just going to fold forward and let gravity take us. You'll feel a pull in your hamstrings. And maybe you want to release your fingers and just let gravity take you all to the ground. We're going to hold this. You'll start feeling the pull in your hamstrings. And even if you're up here, you're not touching the ground, right? That's why we're holding the arms and we just let the head hang. And what we're going to do is, if your hands are on the ground, we're going to crawl them to the left, walk them to the left. And if your arms are clasped, you're going to lean, or like twist to the left. So we're getting some spinal twists. Then we're going to walk our fingers to the right. Get a spinal twist there. And then we're going to come back to the center. And we're going to use our hips, and by thrusting our hips, we'll bring ourselves up. All right, so now we're getting into the lower body. And then actually at this point, it's going to be best if we come back to take a seat. I don't know if that's too much getting up and sitting down, but this will be a little bit easier on the back if we do this all sitting. All right, let's see. I'm going to have to adjust my camera, but I think I do. Oops. Okay.
That's okay. You know, kind of like what you're saying too about we just have to see how things are going. That's what you're doing. You're creating this great example for us.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's just going with the flow. And also, you know, with that too, like if something different is comfortable for you sitting in a different way and it's not an example, like do it. You know, find what's good for you and lean into it. All right, so we're gonna sit on the ground, maybe leaning your back against something. Feels good for you to have that support, right? So you might want that. All right, so the first thing we'll do, just stick your legs out. I'm just gonna stick them right out in front of us, right? So you might lean back a little this way so I can be seen better. So we just have them, and then we're gonna take our feet And we're just going to bring our legs to the left and our legs to the right, kind of getting some ankle movement in. If you have pain in your ankles, you will probably feel it through this. And I say that because I have pain in my ankles and I feel it. This is a good movement for that. All right, so we'll come back up and then we're going to lean forward and maybe you reach your toes, but maybe you just reach your calves, right? And we're going to let our spine be curved and just let gravity take us. So wherever you're at, all right, and then come on up. And you'll open your legs up in a V with whatever that looks like. So if it's here, if it's like open splits, wherever it's at. So find your comfort zone, right? So we're going to open up the legs and we're just going to lean towards the left. And you'll feel your right hip want to come up. Try to keep it down, right? So if you're finding that your right hip is coming up, you're reaching too much. So leave the right hip down and just go where your body lets it. It doesn't have to touch the toe. It doesn't have to grab. Just lean, right? And you can definitely feel it in your hip, and I'm not even touching. I feel it. So just trust your body, right? And that's getting a hip stretch, a hamstring stretch. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing. We'll just keep the left hip rooted. We're going to reach to the right foot. So maybe you have your foot in your hand, maybe you're grabbing your knee, but you'll definitely feel what your body wants you to feel. All right. So we're going to start working our thighs a little bit. And then we'll speak to the bottom of our body. So go ahead and start rubbing your thighs, massaging, right? It might feel good to stick your thumb, and just like press. Body massage is really beautiful. Self-massage is really beautiful. And this tool could be helpful for that. The pressing, right? Gives like a really direct. I have another self-massage tool that I could show at one time, but just start pressing, giving your legs some self-massage. And notice where it's tender, right? For me, I have tenderness around my knees, right? And these are the parts that really need more love, more care, more consideration. And just take it slow. We're still working around the thigh area on the left, or if you're on the right, then just make sure you get the other side after. And start making your way to your calf. And then working towards your ankle, and maybe you need to bring your foot up and bend your leg. And then if your ankle, if you can't get to your ankle, you might just twist it, right? You might just rotate the ankle, right, to give it some attention, rotating one way, rotating the other way,
And
or
someone
maybe
mentioned Achilles tendonitis.
Achilles tendonitis. So that's the swelling of your Achilles tendon. And so, I haven't researched it enough, although I will research it and I will post some type of solution or stretch to it and also bring it up next time. But my thoughts would be, this is just from my general knowledge of just my experience with body movement and stretching, would be that you don't have much ankle mobility, perhaps. But I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to look into it and I'll report back. Yeah. Yeah, I love the questions. Ask more. Usually I know the answers sometimes, but most of the time. So keep working that, and then make your way to your feet. So a lot of the things, and then we'll make our way to our next thigh and we'll start working through that. A lot of the things that I have worked with, dealt with, the pain things are things that I've had firsthand experience. So with having MS, it's like and it hits everybody differently. There's some people who have it and don't experience a thing. And then there are some people who have it and are in a wheelchair. And there are some people who have it who run a marathon, and there are some people who can only walk for 6 minutes. It's just very diverse, and you never know what you're gonna get. But like I've experienced different pains at different points of my life, and at one point, well, and a lot of the ones that I've experienced are back pain, lower back pain, tight hamstrings, and they've all been worked through stretching. Lower back pain, ankle tightness, ankle pain, um, weakness, rebuilding weakness, balance. Those are some things that come with that. And the thing too about like any type of disease or any type of setback of the body is that our body, we have neuroplasticity, right? And so our body is able to relearn and create new neural pathways to relearn that thing that your body can do. So like for example in MS, you get nerve damage. It's a degenerative nerve disease. Although we have neuroplasticity, and so where the nerve damage has occurred by continuously working and eating, right? So eating vegetables, minerals, nutrients, and providing like high optimal cellular function through vegan, whole food, plant-based eating, your body regenerates all these cells, and your body can relearn everything. Four years ago, I had a hard time walking, like walking anywhere, and my mom had to put me my clothes, had to help me put clothes on, and so it's all about relearning, and it's not easy, but it's worth it for persistence, or with persistence. Well, you need persistence. It's worth it, is what I mean. Yeah. So don't give up on your bodies. Hopefully, you're making your way down your calf and your ankle. And we never want to give up on our bodies. We never want to give up on ourselves. So after you make your way, hopefully you feel pretty good in your body. You want to give yourself a kiss on your shoulder, on your arm, and then next time you're in the shower, I want you to give your arm a kiss, or your shoulder, and really send your body love. It's so forgotten. Sometimes we really forget like how amazing our bodies are, even when they don't act how we want them to act, even though they are doing the best that they can with what we're giving them, the thoughts, the feelings, what we're eating, etc. And it's not like, oh, not to say that it's like it's not my fault I have MS or whatever, but we have definitely power in it. Whew. Yeah.
I love the way that you're talking about that, and I think for those of us who might be older, also like I think it's a human tendency to like we want to keep doing whatever our best was before. So I did yoga when I was in my 20s, and I was still not like an Instagram vegan yoga person, right? But I could do a whole lot of things that my 57-year-old body cannot do right now. And I think there is this, for me personally, and bring it up because I think maybe some other people might be struggling with this too. Here, I'll put us both on for a second, so you're not just I'm not hiding. But it's like there's a constant struggle between I should be able to do X and, well, I'll just give up then. Since I can't do it, it must not be helping anything, which is a really bad mental place to get into. And I can say, because I was off camera doing the same stretches and stuff, I got up a couple times to check comments. But even the little gentle movements, because my calves were really sore yesterday. In North Carolina, it's very hilly, and I'm starting my walking regime again. And even 3 years ago, if I walked 2 days in a row, then I can do my 3 miles. And this time my body's going, how about we stay at 2 for a couple more days? And it's very hard to listen to that and not just go, do what I tell you to do.
Mm-hmm. I totally get that. And that's exactly, and I was diagnosed with at 28 years old with MS. MS is a disease that will just teach you life in 4 seconds. It's like, this is how you have to live. But, I was 28 years old and I ran I was a runner. I ran 5Ks and I was able-bodied. And even I shouldn't say, it doesn't mean I'm disabled bodied. And in the whole ableist, or that's a whole other day. But, and it was just taken from me or not taken from me, and I wanted to, right? And I'm like, well, why can't I run 3 miles? And it's like, that's actually really mean, Rachel, to continuously shame your body. Like my body is wonderful. It carries me, but for way too long, I've spent shaming my body for what it cannot do instead of praising it for all the wonderful things it can do. Like all these expectations. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all different lessons too, because it's very funny because I say things to myself that I would never say to any of you guys. Like, get your stuff together. What are you doing? Of course not. I'm going to be like, you know what? You're tired today. Let's do something easy, right? Whereas myself, I'm like, you're so lazy. Why don't you want to, and it's very interesting to look at some of the things that we say, and I'm actively doing that again. This is not the first time. It won't be the last time. Because, we stray off of the path of being good to ourselves and taking good care of ourselves, I think, sometimes. But I love how gentle you are, Rachel.
Right. And about the whole, and thank you. And it's a practice. It's a working, sometimes I say to myself, like I work so much. I love to work, but then it's like I enjoy what I do. I love being a coach. I love cooking. I love coaching on the camera. I love, doing all the YouTubes and the Facebooks. But then sometimes it's like, wait, where have you paused? And and working is beautiful, and it's beautiful that I love my work, but it's like, Rachel, where have you paused and done something that was fun? Not that work isn't, but something for you. And so it's a working progress of acceptance, of honesty, and it's like sometimes what I'm learning is that life is just an easy, well, it doesn't have to be easy. I was going to say an easy game, but life is just a game. It's like, because it's not guaranteed, it's impermanent, everything changes. And it's all about while we're here, it's like, how much joy can we bring to ourselves in this game? How much joy can we bring others? How much, and often we get so tight and so serious. Everything is so serious. And it's like, because we're in this culture of productivity and doing all these things, and we have these expectations that you have to XYZ because you're this, and it's like, whew, it's a lot.
All that stuff's going on in my head, so I can tell you that for sure because, I want to help everybody. I want to do all the videos. I've got projects that I'm working on, and sometimes it's even hard to just go sometimes I'll say I don't have time to take a walk. But if I'm not taking care of myself, then I can't do all the things. And so I think I'm definitely probably a little ADHD because I can do hyper focus. So if you recognize this, you too may have some of this. It's like you get into a project and it's magical and you can work for 16 hours a day and you don't even feel it. You barely have to go to the bathroom. You get so much stuff done. And it's like, woo! And then usually I try to take like a week off. And I found that this last time, the bundle was my last big hyper focus because I did like 20 lives in 10 days. And you have to give yourself some time to come down from that. So it's the matter for me of realizing I can take advantage of these hyper focus, but still have these habits that can underlie them. That's what I'm personally working on. So I want you guys to know that I'm not having Rachel on just to be like, okay, you guys can learn a lot from Rachel. No, I'm learning a lot from Rachel too. And I try to really put out my limitations and struggles with you guys, because there's the misconception that because you see someone on YouTube or Instagram or you like their recipe, like people think because I wrote cookbooks that I don't mess up any recipes, which is ridiculous. I can fix them. That's what's come out of me being able to do 10 books. But also I want to read a couple of comments if that's okay. Apple was saying, who I just adore. Apple's a great member of the community, said, "This is lovely, thank you. I taught yoga and meditation for 30 plus years and had to retire a few years ago due to disabilities. So I'm both glad for this live stream and a bit sad." And we're all sending you big virtual hugs, Apple. And Apple, if you want to email me, I know we've talked before at kathyhester@gmail.com. If you want to do a meditation or something, depending on how you feel and things like that, we can talk about that for sure. And then Stephanie has a question for you. And I'm going to read it exactly as it is. I'm not sure I quite understand it. Are you better than you were when you were diagnosed with MS, or even healed? Or are you now, I'm adding that in, are you now even healed without MS? And I don't know enough about MS to know if it's possible for it to go away or be healed. So forgive me.
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. I don't think it ever goes away. I think it's maintenance of maintenance, right? And so your question to me is, am I healed? Am I better? So when MS is it's inconsistent, and the more that I live with it, the more I see it's directly correlated. I mean, the food is a big one, but the food was an easy one for me, because someone says you have MS, okay, I don't need to eat Burger King anymore. It was like it was fine. It was not like I could do it. It was very easy for me, the food, and everyone's different. So the food was really easy. The movement was really easy. The mindset is what has been my problem with MS. So right when I was diagnosed, I had a lot of trouble like walking. Everything was, I was exhausted all the time. I was a teacher for 8 years. I had to take a month off of work. Noises were just too loud, and I couldn't run, etc. And then I couldn't, I was incontinent. And then as time went on, I kept going with the whole food, plant-based eating, the movement, the meditation. I started feeling better more and more. I got stronger. And then, and I've got, and I've started a business. And then lately, I'll just share my experience. I have been so stressed, and it's not like with moving, and then and it's like good stress, right? But these are like life changes, right? So it's like I've just had life changes. So then it affects, and the sleep, and so it affects the way MS acts. So for me, my experience is I have gotten progressively better, right? Progressively better, although the symptoms of it flare up in various experiences. Sometimes there's so the answer to the overall question, I have gotten so much better, but in some ways I'm noticing different deficits. And it's really, all we have is one day, right? So for today, my MS is manageable. I feel good. I'm healthy, et cetera, et cetera. And that's why it's so important. That's what MS has taught me. It's so important just to live for the moment, live for the day. But to answer the general question, overall better. But not fully healed.
Right.
Maintained.
And that's okay, because I even took what you're saying, because I don't, I have some I have like Graves' disease, which doesn't really affect me at this point because it's a thyroid thing. So I had radioactive iodine. I think all of us have something that sometimes can come better or worse. But I think our emotional state, and especially, I had some anxiety and depression before the pandemic. Right? So it's not like, oh, I never experienced this until 2020, but I feel because of 2020 we all became much more aware of our emotions because we had to sit in a house with them. So if you've been really good at ignoring them, you were just like what is it? Oh, I'm getting my things mixed up. But anyhow, you had nowhere to go. They were going to sit on you. And so I notice when I'm not taking good care of myself, that I will get more stressed or anxious. And maybe when I say stressed, it's not because stress is going to happen, good stress or bad stress, right? So
Absolutely.
Maybe you're not dating anyone. You start dating someone, you get all those wonderful feelings. Well, those are super stressful too, just as much as like you have bills to pay that you have to go and sit down and write. Stress doesn't go, oh, I'm the good kind of stress. Right? I'm going to make you happy. Right. No, stress is stress and it affects our body. And it's how I'm dealing with the stress, or am I dealing with that stress or trying to push it down or push it off. And I think that it's so good, all the things that you're talking about. And Liz says hi and says, tuning in late, but I love what I've seen. Gentle movement is exactly what I need right now. And she said, it's a great show. Glad to hear Rachel will be on monthly. She has so much to offer. And then we've got a couple other things kind of echoing. So Joanne says, it's been difficult for me to accept the limitations of my movement since I was injured during Hurricane Ian. Good Lord, y'all. I'm not used to pain or dis-ease. And so Jean is also saying it's so hard when we're used to doing anything we want to then face limitations we didn't choose. It's very frustrating. Teaches us to surrender some things. So it's all very interesting the way that we can kind of look at some of this, right. And how no matter what our situation is, because I don't have MS, but that doesn't mean I can't learn with how you're dealing with that, right? So how you've started doing some gentle movement, even though you were like a hardcore runner, it gives me an example to follow, right? Because when I was 20, I used to do Aikido a lot. So I was thrown up in the air like, oh my God, I can't even imagine what would happen to me right now. I would be a little ouchy. But, I'd have bruises and things like that. But I loved it. But my body isn't that same body anymore. Like the way we wake up different people. And today, you have the body you have today. So if I walk too hard and I pulled a calf muscle, that's the body I have to deal with today. I don't get to deal with yesterday's body and then decide not to walk up that big hill I should have walked up.
Mm-hmm. And the most beautiful part of all of it is, impermanence. It's that nothing is permanent. And the worst thing about it is that nothing is permanent, and it's like just accept, like it's this life, I think, is just this constant acceptance of whatever it's handing to, accept, and then we get to respond and act in our ways, but really there's a lot of things like that we don't control, that are just, we have to just accept, and our body is one of them. But I do want to share this message because it's very important for people to understand about their body, is that our bodies want us. Our bodies want to feel good. They want us to feel good. I'll just say it again, they want to feel good. Our bodies want to feel good. And so if you're experiencing a lot of pain and discomfort and, if you're feeling like, oh my God, how could this happen to me? Why me? It's more like, well, why me? What do I get to do? How do I and your bodies want to feel good and your body will respond, right? It's a habit. If we continuously do good to our bodies over and over and over and over and over, they will do good for us. But if we continuously ignore and, numb out, and so one of the things I coach on at Rachel Detroit Coaching is substance intake. And when I ask folks about their substance intake, I get down and dirty with it. I say, hey, listen, I'm like, I'm not just talking to you drink or smoke weed or do coke or whatever you do. I said, I want to know the down and dirty. Are you numbing out with TV? What about your food situation? Do you numb out with food? Are you watching porn? What is your escape? Is it, projects? Do you get lost in projects? How are we escaping life? Is it in your brain? And so it's like, we just have to, instead of numbing out, it's so easy to numb out. It's so easy to pick that other route of instant gratification. And instead of doing that, it's like, wait a minute. What is it that my body actually needs? Maybe I'm just tired. Maybe I'm just hungry. Maybe I'm overworked, instead of shutting it up. We shut it up by going to our go-tos. Yeah, it's not always helpful to shut the body up, but it wants to feel good. It wants to be heard. It wants you to treat it nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's great. And do you, Kim was saying both movement has been difficult for her since her ACL surgery, found that she needed to retrain herself. And she also said, treat your body as a temple after what you just kind of said. And we've gotten No Day But Today, learn to go from why me to what is this for. So I feel like you've given a lot of really good messages today, and I think really it's been very helpful. Okay, and Lydia says, I've been struggling health-wise for the past year, and I'm so limited with what I can eat, and it has affected my mental health. Rachel is a breath of fresh air, and her message is very important. So, and that's what I've been kind of, that summed it up way better than what I was saying, is that thank you so much for bringing your viewpoints and your kindness and gentleness into this to help us learn how to treat ourselves better and to give us some very concrete things that we can do again. So this video is going to be on replay about the time we get off of here. So if you missed the meditation and you want to come back to it, if you want to do the meditation for a couple of days, you could come back and do it. Also, make sure that you're following Rachel, because that way you can find out, because it's once a month that you do the other live on Zoom. So you have to go on Zoom for that. And
it's also streamed.
It streams as well. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And it goes on your YouTube channel?
Goes on my YouTube and my Facebook.
Okay, great.
And Zoom.
And I put it back where it's both of us, so you can go look up Rachel Detroit Coaching, all one word, I think, and see, and make sure that you're following her. She's going to be on, we haven't decided next month, but I'm hoping that it'll work out for her to be on this like second Wednesday slot. But because I'm with Chef AJ on the first Wednesday, and then we're going to do something with Stephanie and Lisa too. So I think it's going to be really nice to just bring in some coolness. And I'm going to be talking to Rachel about putting up some other things on her channel that we can go back and use over and over again. But everybody's just saying thank you. Linda's saying I need to learn to be kinder to myself, as I don't give myself the same grace I would others. Me too. Who are struggling and stress magnifies everything it does. And she thanks you for your kindness and your wisdom. And Bonnie just watched you on Nutmeg Notebook, which is awesome too. Do you have any parting words until we see you next month?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for joining. And I'll just throw this other loop. I do a morning inspiration every single day on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. So if you just want a little, it's called a daily quick coach. So I just like coach on some feelings and thoughts. So if you want to check that out. But until I see you guys again, just be so well. And I'm so grateful, Kathy.
Oh, it's always a
Yeah.
pleasure. I just love hanging out with you. Thank you for generously giving us your time and knowledge, and we really appreciate it. Definitely check out Rachel on her page and make sure you're following her, because I think you'll get some really, really good nuggets from it. I know I do. And, I think we could all use to be a little nicer to ourselves. So I think that's a good way to do it. And if you have that extra teaspoon, let's try to be extra nice or kind to someone or another being. So if you just can't do people today, find a dog or a cat and be nice to Ed. But I'm going to go out in the world. I think I'm going to go to the Chinese market. So send me those good, happy vibes, everybody. And I will see you guys very, very soon. And Rachel, I'll be watching you on your coachings.
Awesome. Take good care. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye, everybody.